Today we're going to look at importing data from CSV files into the Kintraks program. So let's look at this CSV file. You'll notice that the first row has the column headers or the field names, and underneath that each row represents one record, and values are separated by commas. So we've got a record there for Bob and a record for Jane, and the order of values corresponds to the order of the titles. So if we open our CSV file in a spreadsheet program like Excel, you can see that it automatically puts those pieces of data into the correct columns. But that's not always the case, and sometimes you'll receive something like this, which claims to be a CSV file, but actually it's quite different. You notice that everything is in rows, but in this case, because there's no commas, they're actually semicolons. Excel hasn't sorted it into the columns that we want. There's also lots of blank rows there which need to be taken out, and everything formatted beforehand. It's still data. If we drag it and drop it into Notepad, you can see that it's all still plain text, but as I said, it's got semicolons and lots of things that we may not want. So let's open it in Excel and format it. So rather than just open the file as it is, we're going to import it into a blank workbook. So let's have a look at the menus here. If you click Data and choose the file type, so it's a text or CSV file, and we'll choose that one, and there'll be a couple of dialogues that'll help us to format it. So it's better to do it this way rather than try and format it already in the spreadsheet. So it's asking for the delimiter, so it's not comma, it's semicolon in this case, and we can see that it automatically puts things into columns, so things are looking a lot better. And we click load, and it's going to put all of that into the spreadsheet. And I believe in this one there's about well, there's 43,000 rows, but only half of them have got data in, so we'll have to do something about that too. So first of all, we need to sort them to get rid of the blank rows. So we'll click on the name header, go to data and sort A to Z, and we haven't lost our data. What's actually happened is the first 21,000 rows have been put at the top of the sheet. So we'll go down to the first one, or the last blank row, hold down the shift and select it, and right click and choose delete. Now you can see all the data is moved up to the top, and the last row now is around the 21,000 mark. So we've got rid of the blank rows, and we'll just save that for now, and we'll just call it export. And you have to save it as a CSV file, so go down and find CSV comma delimited, choose that one. You can't save it as anything else or it won't work. Click save. Now you'll get some warnings that there may be multiple sheets and things like that. You can pretty much continue on, ignore those, and you may be asked to save multiple times. I don't know why Excel does that. Okay, so now we have export, and this is the file we're going to use as our CSV file. So we'll just move everything else out of the way. Now we need to fix the title, so I'm going to open it again, and we can see we've got name, sex, date of birth, father, mother, registration. Titles we need to change to prefix if it's the one that's in front of the name. Most of the others are okay. If it's got COI, you can delete that column because Kintraks will calculate that on the fly. And just check that all the columns actually have data in them, because if you've got any that are empty, there's not much point importing that column. You can just get rid of it. You might want to spread them all out. So the way the program works is it will look at these names here and it has a lot of aliases built in, so as long as it's a common name for what you use, it will pick it up and put it in the right field. However, if you've got other things, such as we've got export here and country that are normally a custom field, it will create custom fields for these ones. So that's why it's important. Don't put any, we'll get rid of all the rubbish now so that you don't have to add and delete custom fields later, just to fix things up. Now the file we're importing from doesn't actually have a breed column, which is a fairly important field. It's one of the default fields for the program. So we're going to add a breed column and fill it in. So I'll just click on this column here and insert the breed column. And all of these animals are border collies, so I'll just write that in, type that in here. And we want to paste it down to the 21,000 rows. The easiest way is to put your mouse over the little cross and double click. And just do a quick overall search that everything looks pretty good. Okay, one thing to check is at the end, you've got your last column here. Let's just zoom right out, zoom to say 25%, just to see if anything is hanging over into this column here. So go down that. That looks alright, because if there is an extra comma in there or anything like that, it will cause data to spill over into this last column and you'll know you've got something wrong. But all looks good and we've saved it. And just save again, making sure still it's CSV, and we're right to go. So we're just going to open the Kintraks program and convert the file. So if you're creating a whole database with the CSV file, just click the convert button at the top. If you're using Windows, the converter program is installed with the Windows program, but if you use Mac or Linux, you can go to the website and download it separately. So we agree to all the information at the beginning, choose CSV file to new Kintraks multi-platform and find your database. So export CSV, and all that you need to do now is click the convert button and wait for it to finish. So keep an eye on the dialog at the top that tells you how many records have been found. So remember, we've got 21,000, so it's going to take a few minutes just to import them. So I'm just going to pause for a minute and I'll come back when it's closer. Okay, it's almost got to the 21,000 records. Now remember, we sorted the CSV file by name column alphabetically, which is a good thing because now these names are coming up alphabetically and you can see we're up to S. So if your CSV file doesn't import fully, take a note of the last name or two that you saw before it completed, and that will give you an idea of where to look in your file for a mistake. So it might be missing a comma or something like that, or some strange character or something that's preventing it from continuing. So once it's found all the records, so you can see it's almost up to 21,000, it's going to process them and start matching up the parents with the records. So it's going to move into this phase now. So it's checking the parent ID or adding the parent ID to each of the records. Once again, this takes a long time, so it's doing the fathers at the moment. So I'll pause and we'll come back to it. Okay, so it's completed the process of finding the parents. So we can close the converter now. And if you go to the location where you had your CSV file, so in my case it was on the desktop, you'll actually find your CAX file, which is a Kintraks database file. So all you've got to do then is just drop it into the program. It gets added to the list and we can open it and have a look how the convert went. So it's doing a little bit of reconfiguring just for a minute. And once that's done, it's ready to open it. We'll just wait a second. Okay, and we've got our data. So it's prompting you to go to settings because there's no settings in the import file. So we need to put the country and also the life expectancy just as a minimum. Before you autofill or have any particular animal that you choose from the list, just check the custom fields, because if you autofill it will overwrite these fields. So we've got 4 there, we're just going to leave it like that, and we'll save. We don't want to add a new animal. Okay, so let's click on a couple of these so we can see that the parents are there. We click on the tree, it's making family trees, finding common ancestors, lots of stuff there that is working well. Not really happy about all these capitals, but you can fix that. Just go database, repair, and we're going to choose convert all names to proper case, which means it makes the first letter capital and the rest lowercase. Normally you'd make a backup, but just for demonstration purposes. So it's going to change the case of all the names in the database. Okay, so that's finished. So click up here and we can see now they're all nice proper case. And that's about it. You could update your inbreeding so that they all have their COIs, and when that's finished, check everything's correct, and then you can start adding your data.